In 1980, a Stonehenge was erected by an unknown group of people, represented by one anonymous R.C. Christian in the state of Georgia in the United States of America. It listed 10 commandments for the future world. They are written in 8 different languages of the world, namely English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. They should have chosen the languages as in the following: English as the link language of the world, Spanish representing West Europe and South America, Russian representing East Europe, Swahili representing Africa, Hindi representing India, Chinese representing Mongolian race, Arabic representing the Muslim world, Hebrew, of course, for the Jews. If we do not look through the Illuminati prism, all these commandments appear to be well-meaning commandments. However, the very first of the 10 commandments created a concern among the people of the world. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature is the first of the 10 commandments. At the time, the world had a population of about 10 times this amount, that is 5 billion. Thus, there was a plan to eliminate 90% of this global population. Hence, people thought that the Stonehenge was installed by Illuminati, who had depopulation as their main agenda. In fact, the Stonehenge is attributed to one anonymous R.C. Christian. People connected this name with Rose Cross Christian, the founder of the Rosicrucian Order, an Illuminati secret society. Considering the fact that the Illuminati create an illusion that they are speaking for the welfare of the society, while their intended outcome being the exact opposite, the well-worded commandments might actually be the work of the Freemasons. In my point of view, the following points are of concern. Why did they publish in Hebrew also, the language being spoken by a relatively very small population? This suspicion gains currency considering the commandment number 3, which recommends uniting humanity with a new living language. They did not just say a new language, they said a new living language. The Hebrew language went into disuse after the dispersion of Jews from Israel during 2nd century AD. This language was revived only during the 20th century when Israel was born as a nation. Thus, the new living language is obviously Hebrew. Hence, it is imperative that the Stone Age should have been constructed by the Hebrews. The fact that the group which commissioned the guide stone had hidden its identity points to the fact that the Stonehenge should have been commissioned by a secret society. Otherwise, there is no reason at all to hide their identity, as the commandments were sensible. The 500 million population to which the world will be reduced points to roughly the total Jewish population of the world, including perhaps all the crypto Jews. The well-meaning commandments might have been created keeping in view the diverse Jewish population living in all countries across the world. Moses created the 10 commandments during the Exodus, guiding the future lives of the Jews who were to live as a distinct nation thereon. Likewise, had these 10 new commandments of Georgia written for the future Jews-only world? Does it mean that they have secret plan to wipe out the non-Jews from the world? After all, according to Judaism, the Jews are the chosen people of the God, while the rest of the humanity are mere cattle. Even though we cannot come to an infallible conclusion on the purpose of Georgia guide stones, we very well know that the Illuminati has a secret plan to depopulate the world, and we don't have an iota of doubt on that. According to Illuminati master plan, the protocols of the elders of the Zion, they plan to depopulate the world through wars, slow poisoning through food, slow poisoning through medicine and vaccine, etc. The Masonry originated more than 3000 years ago during the exodus from Egypt created by Moses the Jew. One of the numerous sister organizations of Masons was called Illuminati, and it originated in the year 1776 AD. It is this Illuminati which had a roadmap for many sinister plans, and depopulation was one among them. However, this depopulation agenda did not originate from the Illuminati of 1776. It should have been the core agenda of the Masonry ever since it originated 3000 years ago. The fact that this depopulation agenda was the age-old agenda of the Jewish community can be inferred from the Sanskrit Mahabarath. The Sanskrit Mahabarath was written in 5th century AD during the Gupta regime, who funded many such Sanskrit projects. I would now expose the age-old depopulation agenda as enacted in Sanskrit Mahabarath. We know that the avatar concept is fake and it was created by the Brahmins to further their multiple agendas in India. According to the Brahmins, the purpose of Krishna avatar was to reduce the bhubaram, that is, the burden of earth, by killing people through war, the Mahabharata war. The Mahabharata depopulation scene is as in the following. An old lady comes to Krishna's palace carrying a basket on her head. She asks Krishna to unburden her of the basket. Krishna and later his brother Balarama tries to lift it from her head to unburden her. They were unable to lift the basket as it was too heavy for them. Krishna then says that the old woman is in disguise and asks her to reveal herself. The old lady then reveals that she is Bhuma Devi, the goddess of earth. She then reminds Krishna that the purpose of his avatar was to unburden the earth by depopulating it through wars. She was apprehensive that Krishna missed a chance for war between Duryodanas and Pandavas, and he instead created Indraprastha for the Pandavas, diffusing the crisis. Krishna politely dismisses her accusation by detailing that if war broke out at that point of time, only Kauravas and Pandavas would have perished. He says further, soon a great war would break out between Pandavas and the Kauravas, which would assume the global proportion, that is world war, and there will be huge loss of lives. Krishna says that he was awaiting that opportune time and that Bhuma Devi shall rest assured. I am playing the typical scene from one such Mahabharata serial with English subtitles. Kindly watch with attention.
மூதாட்டியே, என்னை காண வேண்டும் என்று சொன்னாயாமே, உன் பிரச்சனைதான் என்ன?
யாரு? கிருஷ்ணாவா? வந்து விட்டாயா? பார்வை மங்கி போய்விட்டது கிருஷ்ணா. நீதான் என் பாரத்தை இறக்கி வைக்க வேண்டும். அதனால் தான் உன்னை தேடி வந்தேன்.
பாரமா? என்ன பாரத்தை நான் இறக்கி வைக்க வேண்டும்?
என் தலையில் உள்ள இந்த பாரத்தை நீதான் இறக்கி வைக்க வேண்டும்.
மூதாட்டியே, உன் தலையில் உள்ள இந்த கூடையை இறக்க துவாரகையின் அரசன் கிருஷ்ணனே வர வேண்டுமா? வாயில் காவலாளியிடம் சொல்லியிருந்தால் அவனே இறக்கி வைத்திருப்பானே. என்னிடம் சொல்லியிருந்தால் நான் கூட உனக்கு உதவி இருப்பேனே.
இந்த விஷயத்தில் கிருஷ்ணனை தவிர வேறு யார் உதவ முடியும் ஐயா?
பிடிவாத கிழவியாக இருக்கிறாயே நீ.
அண்ணா, அவளை நிந்திக்க வேண்டாம். வயதானதால் அவள் புத்தி பேதலித்து விட்டது என்று நினைக்கிறேன். அவளுக்கு நானே உதவி செய்கிறேன். அவள் தலையில் இருக்கும் பாரத்தை இறக்கி வைக்கிறேன். அண்ணா, வியப்பாக இருக்கிறது. என்னால் இவள் தலையில் இருக்கும் பாரத்தை இறக்க முடியவில்லை. மூதாட்டி, நீ யார்? நீ சாதாரண மானிட பெண்ணாக இருக்க வாய்ப்பில்லை. நீ யார் என்று சொல்.
பரந்தாமா, கோவிந்தா, ஸ்ரீகிருஷ்ணா, நான் பூமாதேவி. உன் கடமையை நினைவூட்டவே உன்னை தேடி வந்தேன்.
என் கடமையை ஆற்ற நான் என்றும் தவறுவதில்லை பூமாதேவி.
பூலோகத்தின் பாரத்தை குறைக்க நீ கிருஷ்ணனாக அவதாரம் எடுத்தாய். அதற்கு இப்பொழுது ஒரு அருமையான வாய்ப்பு கிடைத்திருந்தும் அதை நீ நழுவ விட்டு விட்டாயே.
நீ எதைச் சொல்கிறாய் பூமாதேவி?
பாண்டவருக்கும் கௌரவருக்கும் இடையில் பிரிவினை ஏற்பட்டது. இருவரும் அத்தினாபுரம் வேண்டும் என்று போருக்கு ஆயத்தமானார்கள். பாண்டவருக்கும் கௌரவருக்கும் யுத்தம் மூண்டிருந்தால் பூமியின் பாரம் வெகுவாக குறைந்திருக்கும். ஆனால் பாண்டவருக்கு இந்திரபிரஸ்தத்தை சிருஷ்டித்து என் பாரத்தை நிலைபெற செய்து விட்டாயே கிருஷ்ணா.
பூமாதேவி, நீ சொல்வது சரிதான். ஆனால் யுத்தத்திற்கான தருணமல்ல இது. இப்போது யுத்தம் ஏற்பட்டிருந்தால் அது பாண்டவர்களுக்கும் கௌரவர்களுக்குமான யுத்தமாக மட்டும் இருந்திருக்கும். இதனால் பூபாரம் வெகுவாக குறைய வாய்ப்பில்லை. பாண்டவர்களுக்கும் கௌரவர்களுக்கும் இடையே உண்டான பகை இந்த உலகம் முழுவதும் பரவும். அந்த பெரும் பகை யுத்தமாக வெடிக்கும். இந்த உலகத்தில் உள்ள தீயவர்களை அழிக்க மூளப் போகிறது குருக்ஷேத்திரம். அப்போது பூபாரம் தானாக குறையும். அதுவரை அமைதியாக காத்திரு பூமாதேவி.
பூபாரம் தாழ முடியாமல் உன்னை சோதிக்க முயன்றேன். என்னை மன்னித்து விடு கிருஷ்ணா, மன்னித்து விடு.
We know very well that it was Sagni the Jew who instigated Kauravas to go for war with the Pandavas. However, Krishna, the divine personality, was entrusted to this destructive task by the Brahmins to suggest that the depopulation was a divine plan. Yes, they do every evil thing in the name of God. After all, the Brahmins created Varnashrama, dividing the Indian society hierarchically in the name of God. Anyway, we have proof that Sanskrit Mahabarath clearly speaks of depopulation. Hence, if we establish that the Indian Brahmins were of Jewish origin, we then have proof that the depopulation agenda of the Masons existed even as early as 5th century AD. Are the Indian Brahmins of Jewish origin? Let's find out. In the year 2010, I made a video on swastika. In that video, I cursed the Aryans, then represented by Hitler, and was very sympathetic to the Jewish community who was said to have survived the Holocaust, believing the propaganda by the Jewish media. I then came to know about Masonry and Illuminati during the later part of 2013 for the first time in my life. As most of the secret societies belonged to the Jews, I was of the opinion that a small group of Jews were misguided and they had such destructive plans for the Gentiles. That is, I thought that the Jews are not bad as a race, but only a small group of them was misguided. However, only when I understood that Indian Brahmins are of Jewish origin, my idea on Jewish community had to go through a sea of change. Yes, the Jews as a race is a problematic race which poses threat to the welfare of the world. What the Brahmins have done to the Indians for the past 3000 years and what they continue to do even today convinced me that the Brahmins think and act like the Illuminati, and hence I thought that they should be of Jewish origin. Theologically also, the basic tenets of Judaism are found in the Hinduism of the Brahmins. The Jews considered themselves as chosen people of the God, a nonsense idea. The same nonsense is manifesting in the creation story of Hinduism through Purusha Sukta of Rig Veda. The Brahmins are born from the mouth of Purusha, while the vast majority of the non-Brahmin population was born from the feet of Purusha, thus recasting the core principle of Judaism that the Jews, aka Brahmins, are the chosen people. Other related observations pin the truth. One such observation is that the Jews control the judiciary of the world. Even the word judiciary originated out of Judea. In India also, the judiciary is controlled by the Brahmins, and that is why there is no justice in India. Kindly get reminded of the scrapping of Article 377 and Article 497, the latest assault on the virtue of Indians. Moses proposed the 10 Commandments when the Hebrews were about to have a nation of their own, the Israel. The last four of the commandments are worth looking into. That means the Egyptian Jews practiced all these prior to the Exodus. Perhaps that's the way the minority rules the majority, by promoting immorality among the masses. Perhaps that's how the Jews ruled Egypt before the Exodus. Like the minority Jewish Brahmins rule India, even the so-called democratic India, the Jews ruled Egypt prior to the Exodus. The Jews were not slaves in Egypt. Most of the times, the Jews enslaved others only. India is a perfect example for the same. Indians are living as slaves under Brahmanical hegemony. Another observation connecting the Jews with the Brahmins of India is the domination of the media. The majority of the world media is operated by the Jews, and the same is the case in India, where every media is infested and dominated by the Brahmins. Just like the global Jewish media, the Indian media is spreading convenient lies, the lies that are convenient to the Brahmins. Thus, we shall go on comparing these two communities, the Jews and the Brahmins, and the conclusion would be the same. The Indian Brahmins are of Jewish origin. The latest genetic research also confirms the same. The North Indian Brahmins migrated to India through Khyber Pass about 3000 years ago from Kasar region. They were Jews but not Hebrews. The South Indian Brahmins migrated from Israel around 2nd century AD and settled at Udupi in Karnataka. These were Hebrew Jews. The North Indian Jewish Brahmins were responsible for the destruction of Buddhism. The South Indian Jewish Brahmins were responsible for the destruction of 10,000 years old Asivagam of Tamils. The Jews are destruction minded. The Jews were responsible for all the wars of the world. It is this same destructive mind that is manifesting in Sanskrit Mahabarath. Hence, depopulating the present world to make it as a Jews only world seems to be the secret agenda of the Jews for the past few thousand years, which found its expression in Sanskrit Mahabarath also, written during the 5th century AD. The well-meaning Georgia guide stone is for the future Jewish world, probably. The 10th commandment of the Georgia guide stone seems to be an introspection by the secret society which commissioned it, as it was aware of its own nature.